Let me ask you, now that we have AI everywhere, right?
Hmm,
AI is definitely taking over in the space of content creation. How
true.
do you view it and how do you use it?
That's an interesting question because to some people they may say it's an opportunity, which I do agree. It is truly an opportunity. ChatGPT really changed the game, and I do agree that it's just a helpful tool. But for me, the way I see it for now, since it's still a baby, it's in its infancy. I guess the way I see it is I just use it as a tool to get a general idea and a general understanding, because for me that's how I use ChatGPT, Gemini, all these stuff. I ask general generic questions, and then if in case I want to dig deep down into it, I will do my own research and take the understanding from what I know from what was explained by Chat. The thing that I struggle the most is with AI is that it's it's a good tool. It gets you from point A to point B, but it's not the solution.
Hmm.
That's where people, I guess, that's where people get things wrong, is just because ChatGPT does the work that it does for you, it doesn't mean that that's the entire solution of it.
Hello, everyone, and thank you for joining us today on another episode of Entrepreneurial Truth. On today's episode, we have Rajiv Doraiswamy, and he is going to share his insights and his journey on entrepreneurship. Rajiv, thank you so much for coming on today.
Thank you so much. It's a huge honor to be here, and I love to be a part of this show. And I'm excited. I hope this is just going to be part one of the entire series. We're going to have a lot of fun down the line. So, yeah.
Uh, Love it. Awesome. Awesome. And can you share with everyone your journey, like what have you been up to?
So a little bit of backstory. I mean, I've been in the podcasting space for almost 4 or 5 years. Next year will be my fifth year, and yeah, the journey of entrepreneurship, my entrepreneurship journey began only a couple of months when I found this problem in the podcasting space regarding um, regarding problems with communication. There are a lot of podcasters, young podcaster cats out there who want to share their story, and they want to be a part of the podcasting space. But the problem with that is that a lot of these people in groups, in certain groups, Facebook groups, LinkedIn groups, all these other groups, they keep getting shut down by the big names, because it's almost every group has some form of self promotion. So
Mhm.
I looked at it as an opportunity, and I said, let me just see if I can push this through. And here we are having a conversation about it. So, yeah.
I love it. I love it. I love it. And how have you been revolutionizing the podcasting space in terms of the people you're coaching or working with?
For now, it's still, like I said, it's just a couple of months young, so I'm still looking out and reaching out. I have two students, and my approach for each student is much more personalized. I want to first understand where they are, what they want to do, what's the goal, what's the end goal, and I build a strategy so that they can go from point A to point B with a smooth transition, and a deeper understanding of the podcasting space without overcomplicating it. Because when it comes to learning about podcasting, when you go to YouTube, there's so many things hit you left and right. It's just hard to it's hard for someone to get all these information and start, because it's so overwhelming, you know so if there's
Mhm.
a way where we can streamline that and we can adjust to a person's needs, I guess that's where my end goal is for helping out podcasters. So, yeah.
Yeah. And I love the conversation we had previously. We're talking about like this whole entrepreneurship journey for you, right? What it looks
Yes.
like. And I was like, well, you've been podcasting forever. That in
Yeah.
itself is like, tell us about that. Like, what made you get into podcasting?
There's a two-part story to this. One was it was just based off a hobby interest that faded during my college years, but I never thought of it as a some form of profession. It's an interesting thing now. Things that you see as profession now is much more different than it is back then. And when I started, again, I go back to the first point. When I started, I never I thought of it as something to try out, and then I left it, I abandoned it, and then during the pandemic I had nothing to do with my life. There was a lot of lockdowns and all that stuff, so you cannot go out, and I decided to revive it, and one thing led to the other. It was a journey in itself, which I kind of enjoyed. It was a little bit messy, so majorities of the stuff that I learned are part of the mistakes that I wish I could have done. So it's technically like helping myself move if I were to mentor myself through others. That's how the mission goes for me. So yeah.
Hmm. Hmm. And I think a lot of people's stories always come out of their mess, right? So we end up
True.
doing things because of the mess that we go through. What were some of the
True.
biggest challenges that you faced, or things you encountered in the podcasting space that you wish you had known when you first started?
That's an interesting question. For me personally, the way I see it is there are tons. So the way I see it, there are tons of stuff that I wish I would have known, but then again, I would have still made the same mistakes had not been for, even if I knew it. One was especially the one that's the top of my head is, of course, the idea of finding a niche. It's for me, this is an interesting thing to talk about, because I guess in entrepreneurship or in content creation or vlogging or any of these kind of spaces where you look for something where you want to dominate in, there's this thing called niches, and there's categories and all these kind of labels. For me, I found it a little bit hard in the beginning. So I started off as motivation, and then I went into journaling, and then I collaborated with a lot, which was one of my biggest projects. And then from then on out, I nearly pod faded. I survived the 3-year curse, which is something that it's true. When it comes to podcasting, if you don't pass at least 3 years, you're already dead in the water. The most probability is that you're gonna end up pod fading. You'll face burnout. You look at ways of making money, other ways around that. So for me, I've survived that curse. So I haven't pod faded. I turned my first project and my second project into something that's worth looking at. So yeah, I hope I answered the question.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I mean, I love it. Um, go into that a little bit. That's the first time I've heard about pod faded, like after 3 years. So, you
Yeah.
know, tell me a little bit more about that. Like, how many episodes? What does that look like? What do people say?
This is more of a personal observation from my end, because when I revived the show and I started creating content. Of course, I never had a plan. That was one of my big mistakes, which I'll come back to that. But what I did was, I knew I had something that I wanted to get out, my voice, my story, and I just wanted to get that out. And at the same time, when I was sending out my content, marketing myself, putting myself out there, I was also in the same community with the Philippine podcast community, where I was also a part of the community where I saw a lot of these amazing talents come in, and then they came in with amazing content, and then looking back at the experience of it, I guess 90% of them pod faded. They just decided to, out of the blue, life happened, and then they decided to drop off. Although they had amazing content, they had amazing personality, they had amazing. There was only a handful of people who still stuck through the roots of creating content through podcasting, which is this is why I applaud certain people who really looked at it as a form of a longevity, kind of the long term vision.
Hmm.
It's interesting. But the people who pod fade, going down to the idea of pod fading, is that it's not really based on episode or thing. It's based on, I guess, situations. I guess is life as it goes, as you
Mhm.
go ahead in life. It's sometimes there are certain things that you cannot control, so you have to make a choice whether it's either podcasting or life itself. You have to make your bread. So I won't deny that that is, but that's the majority of the reason why a lot of these amazing podcasters fade. But then again, those are those who are passionate about this, who find purpose in it and find the opportunities in it. Those are the ones who I really salute. And for those who faded, from 2020 onwards, because that's when the podcasting boomed
Mhm.
from here in the Philippines. It was just heartbreaking to see their talents, go down that way, and with the content and everything, because I can't really speak for them, but yeah, I won't blame them. If I were in their position, I'd probably do the same thing as well. So yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I want to speak to that. Podcasting isn't easy, right? Because you
True.
have to be consistent, and you have to speak with all these different people and find content and find ways to promote it. And there are so many different avenues. So I do understand, and life does happen. One of the things I'll speak to about that, and what I've found has worked for me, is to create a lot of content, right? And people talk about
Mm,
like
yeah.
batching content for various reasons. Do you batch
Yeah.
content?
Oh, I'm actually gonna write an episode on that soon. For me, I've earlier on, probably I'd probably make a backstory here so that at least the story is much more interesting, because I can't really take a story without context. You know how it is. So earlier on, when I did the podcast, for me, I thought content was daily. It was creating content on Canva, putting it, and then expecting it to blow up or something like that. But then, as the algorithm changes, the attention and then the shorts and everything came up, I was ignorant, which was one of my mistakes. I was ignorant, and I did not know that those things are going to actually be beneficial than, ignoring them, thinking the old ways would grow. And then I kind of understood it over time, as I kind of reflected on it. All these tools and all these algorithms, it's good to be aware of them, but you don't need to prioritize them. It's like newspaper on the start of Sundays. You read it to know what happened the previous week. So that's how I look at content creation. n- uh, Now, I look at it as a review. I review what happened, what went wrong and right. But in terms of content strategy, I kind of devised my own. This is going to be a longer episode that I'll be deep diving into, but I've learned that there are a lot of ways of playing the game of content strategy. One is high volume and low volume. So when it comes to high volume, that means you are consistently posting at least 3 times in all social media platforms. So there's no break. So let's say if we have a collaboration, and then that entire week I have only a couple of 2 or 3 post for a particular week. Of course, the collaboration will also be a part of that. Part of that. Uh, Part of that scheduling. So it's a high volume, and there's a technique that I also learned, which is low volume, which is only posting once a month, but making sure that that once a month has the ability to cover the entire month. So one post per month. So how the strategy works is, when you have, let's say you have an episode, let's say on the first of a month. So of course, you have the long form content. Now you have to create that into bite sized content, and then you want to double down in creating reels and explaining what you meant by that content. So basically, you take one long form and then you double it down into 100 pieces of content that can last you for a week or a month. So that is one strategy, and the high volume is much different. So basically, um, If I For me, I do a by weekly release, so I have at least a lot of reels from each episode, and then from out of that I take the most important ones and double them down into shorts. So that's how I create my content. It's a very crazy strategy, but yeah, it's sometimes it takes the energy out of you, but it's actually worth it, because you're as long as you're getting content out there and the algorithm's getting into it, and then it's helping you. So that's how it is.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Now, tell me, you speak a lot about algorithm, right? What,
Yes.
where is it, or what's your observation of the algorithm right now? Do you feel like the once a month or low volume or high volume is better?
I mean, it depends on the content of the content creator themselves. See, it goes back to the same conversation about life. When life happens, sometimes some people will opt off for the low volume. For me, I have a lot of stuff going on, and of course, this keeps me busy. That the one thing I enjoy about this is it keeps me busy. So I actually stick to high volume in terms of creating my content, because the more I create content, the more I force myself to be comfortable in the camera, or creating a short film or a short video of something that I find interesting. So I prefer sticking to high volume for myself, but who knows, I might go back from high, mid, or thing. It's not really a set in stone kind of thing.
Mhm.
So yeah.
Awesome. Awesome. And for your coaching program that you have now, where can people find that? Where can people find you?
Basically, I love that question. That's the only question I live for. uh Pod Mentor Space, we're everywhere where you can find us. The reason why we're diversified is because there's a lot of spaces in the internet where it's hard to find, it's hard to reach out to people. There are a lot of people. So basically, I've spread my branding wherever it goes. So we can go on Facebook. You can reach out to me on Facebook. You can reach out to me on Instagram. You can reach out to me on TikTok, Twitter, um, Reddit, but that's my personal account, YouTube, Spotify if you want to listen to the audio stuff, and Medium for my blog. So I basically I'm spread out pretty well, in Pinterest as well. So yeah, so that's where I am.
Awesome, awesome. And in terms of platforms for anyone trying to get into the space now, what would you recommend the easiest way for them to get involved if they decide that they want to use this as their way you know, into podcasting? Is there a specific platform you prefer?
Um, if For me, I love this question because again, it's dependent on the person, but let's just put it into hypothetical. Let's just say that a person wants to be a part of a community. The best that I would recommend is Reddit. Although yes, I know there's a policy in Reddit where you're not supposed to self promote. The reason why I like Reddit so much is because it's community based.
Hmm.
Unlike Facebook and unlike Twitter and unlike all these other platforms, for me, I really like Reddit is because once you're in a community, there's no entry, there's no barrier of entry, so you can share your opinions. You can get, it's either you can get upvoted or downvoted, which is the form of likes or dislikes. And of course, there are also communities on podcasting there, which I reach out as well. So they have questions, they have ideas, they have this, they have that, and it's unanimous. So you don't really know who the person is unless you also speak to them personally and ask questions and be a part of that conversation. So Reddit is one of my personal favorites now that I went in through the wormhole of the algorithm of Reddit. Basically, yeah, I enjoyed the space because it's just an interesting space. Basically, um the one thing I like about that space is you have the ability to come up with original content, even though you took a content from either Facebook or anywhere else. If you have an ability to make it your own, and have some form of understanding that, and then you can build that into a conversation, and it's worth that conversation. So yeah.
Awesome. Awesome. Yeah, it sounds like you're doing cross promotion in all the different spaces. Okay. So for
Yes,
our
yeah.
new people jumping into podcasting or entrepreneurship or anything, they want to go on social media. What would your advice be in terms of how they should do it? They're new to the platform, they're new to podcasting. Like, what would be your best advice?
Study study that's the best advice that I can give. Study as much. If possible, build an account under your name. You don't need to build your brand first. Build an account by your name, and then study how people communicate in certain platforms. See, Facebook may have a different way of handling content. Some say that it's all about reels, but then if you actually look at it, there are like heartbreak podcasts and entrepreneurial podcast that has 1,000 likes. A Bruce Lee post with 1,000 likes, 1,000 shares, 1,000 comments on a page. And then you have Twitter, on the other hand, or X. They have very fast paced content, but some content are very fast and educational, valuable. And then there are some content that are not educational, not valuable. So it's all about studying. It's just being there, being in the space, understanding how you can leverage certain things, how you can leverage each idea that you have. Because it's all about understanding each social media has its own culture. Gary Vee, there was actually a quote that I think I did a post on him, where he talks about platforms and cultures. He said that you have to understand how each platform works. It's not that the post that you have on your LinkedIn is not it's not going to work on Facebook. So you have to tweak it in such a way that people in LinkedIn will see it differently, and then on Facebook, if it's a value, your copy is good. Different copies for each social media platform. But then before you do all that stuff, you got to understand how each platform works. You have to understand how each person communicates, how they create their content, and what is the most valuable content that they create. And it's an interesting thing to just stay there and just be in the moment and just understand. So yeah, that's actually one thing I've wanted to share long before I've even gotten into the whole entrepreneurship or even social media spaces, that I was so curious, and I created accounts from various platforms. And right now I'm doubling down on Reddit. But I've diversified my social media. I have Pinterest, I have Reddit, I had all these stuff. And back then, as I was learning, I never really knew the value of it. As I got a little bit older, I started learning, oh, this is the value of how you can leverage this. And then Pinterest is more different. So it's all about understanding what works and how it works. So yeah.
And I love that. Let me ask you, now that we have AI everywhere, right?
Hmm,
AI is definitely taking over in the space of content creation. How
true.
do you view it and how do you use it?
That's an interesting question, because to some people, they may say it's an opportunity, which I do agree. It is truly an opportunity. ChatGPT really changed the game. And I do agree that it's just a helpful tool. But for me, the way I see it for now, since it's still a baby, it's in its infancy, I guess the way I see it is, I just use it as a tool to get a general idea and a general understanding. Because for me, that's how I use ChatGPT, Gemini, all these stuff. I ask general generic questions, and then if in case I want to dig deep down into it, I will do my own research and take the understanding from what I know, from what was explained by Chat. The thing that I struggle the most is with AI is that it's it's a good tool. It gets you from point A to point B. but it's not the solution, you know.
Mm,
That's where people, I guess that's where people get things wrong. Is just because chat gpt does the work that, you know, it does for you, it doesn't mean that that's the entire solution of it, you know. Because you still need that humanistic aspect. And I guess this goes in all aspects of life, you know. You still need to have that communication. So when they talk about using AI for blogs and all this stuff, the way I see it, it's more like it's going to destroy, it's going to saturate a
communication.
certain market. Yeah,
Hmm.
it's going to destroy, or it's going to saturate a certain market because of the amount of AI content that's already been pushed out, you know. Regardless whether you say SEO, all these stuff not sound like a human, not sound like an AI, or regardless, if the people will know and people will distinguish, you know. That's why I guess it's just the matter of how you use it. For me, I use it as a tool. I use it to understand, okay, if I want to learn something about social media management, or I want to learn something about social digital marketing or SEO, I just ask them, what is this, how do I do this? And then the further I get, the further I understand that, and if I have the curiosity, I'd probably take a course and double down and learn more about it. Because at least when I learn with a human, at least my understanding of the game and the understanding of the the skill that I'm learning can, it's more personalized, you know. So
Hmm.
yeah, so for me,
Hmm.
I just look at it as a tool. I don't see it as anything that can really solve. Probably in the future, probably I'd be biting my own tongue if people see this in the future, because of course AI can go either up or down. It's
Right.
like the stock market. We do not know what does the future hold. But yeah, for now I see it as a tool. So yeah.
I love that. I love that you say you use it as a tool and it doesn't solve everything, you know.
Yes. Yeah.
I'm intrigued to know where we'll go in the podcasting space as it relates to AI
Yeah.
in the future, you know, how it will potentially disrupt or not disrupt specific markets. And I think the benefit of doing podcasting is that it's your authentic voice, right?
True.
And
True.
that's something that AI can't do. It can't be you.
Yeah.
And I feel like each one of us has our own specific personality and something
Yeah.
that we bring to the table, you know?
True. True.
Um, Talking about personalities, tell me a little bit more about your personality and what people can expect when they hop onto your podcast.
Well, based on our pre-interview, I guess I entertained you more than it was an interview itself. So I guess people who know me know that, yeah, I bring in the joy and the fun. I always disrupt the boredom. I cannot sit down in a meeting and expect everybody to be monotonous. I don't want to hear a monotonous tone. I'm a musician, I'm an artist. So I like more color, I like more flavor, and that's just me. And I like to bring the best out of people as well, in terms of, you know, bringing that spark of joy. Even a small smile for me is, that means I already won a conversation. So so that's how I bring myself in terms of when someone works with me. They will never have a day where this guy is really like a Jim Carrey or something like that. So uh, a Robin Williams, Jim Carrey kind of character, you know. It's always bring the joy, and even though he's feeling down, he still brings the joy and gives the best. Because I guess that's one part of human. That's one part of the human nature that I guess AI cannot duplicate. Is that, you know, telling jokes and stuff like that. It's and coming out with spontaneous jokes. You know, you have to. It's a challenge. It's a skill that, you know, you need to grow over time. But yeah.
Yeah, I love that. I love that. And what are you podcasting about these days? Like what's your main topic that people can jump on your podcast and listen to?
So for now, I'm uh I'm in the generalist space of podcasting. For now, I'm really experimenting. For now, I'm still reviewing and understanding. There's a lot of things that I'm doing at the moment. Not just the podcasting. Of course, I'm also practicing how to create blog content. I know, like earlier on, I told you that I don't use AI, even though I'm tempted to ask AI to write me a blog. I don't feel that. I feel uneasy for it to just spit out something, because based on what I will get from AI is straight from Google, so it makes no sense. That's why I want to learn to learn to express myself in writing, because probably somewhere down the line I'd be creating a book. I did mention in my first podcast after my reset was that I was planning to write a journal, but now I'm contemplating on probably changing a few things, probably change the title or change the entire theme altogether. So I want to use the blog as a platform to learn how to express myself and to get my voice out there in textual form. That's one of my main weaknesses. Especially, that's why I'm not really a good copywriter. And although I kind of enjoy it, I kind of enjoy messing up and then looking back at it and then messing up again. So
Yeah.
yeah.
It sounds like you are really an analytical thinker, where you do something and then you look to see, okay, what was the outcome? How did it work out? What can I change? And then change it. Like it sounds like you have the ability to change your style of writing, style of thinking, style of podcasting.
I mean, I like how you say analytical, or I mean, for me, I don't really look at myself that way. I'm more of an emotional thinker. So that's that sensitivity that makes me want to pull back and say, okay, uh, put a break on this. But then I guess it's that that emotional reason for me to voice out, I guess, is the reason why I look back and I analyze. The thing about me is, which I learned, is that I reflect for I do first and reflect later, and that's the thing that I do enjoy. Especially the way I reflect is much more unusual. I guess the funny story is, sorry, I just wanted to cut this off to a funny story. I remember there are a couple of jokes when I was in college about some of my friends spoke about a joke. For me at the moment, the joke doesn't register, you know and then when I'm walking or I'm with someone and then suddenly I chuckle, I just realized that it was like 2 or 3 years after the joke hit me. Yeah, that, that's one thing that actually happens. You know, that's why I feel like what I'm in the middle of the road laughing on my own, only to realize that the joke that hit me 2 3 years ago only hit me. so, so yeah, that's the thing about me. I do now and reflect later. That's how I look at myself in the if I were to look at myself and analyze how I am as a personality, that's the thing about me.
Yeah, I think that's a good way too, because I think you get a chance to really take it all in, right?
Yeah, yeah.
So even
And
even with go ahead.
yeah. Yeah, sorry about that to cut you off. But for me, the way I reflect now lately looking back is I reflect better when I'm walking for some weird reason. I cannot sit down and reflect. I can sit down, probably I can only reflect 1% of my thoughts. But if I actually walk, I can actually reflect clear. Smell the breeze and be in the moment, and then look back at my head journal and what I did and what I could have done and all that stuff. It actually works for me. This is a personal thing. So yeah.
Hmm. Hmm. All right. Well, I want to ask you, right, for anyone starting their journey right now, if you could give them two tips, or if you're looking back and talking to the younger version of yourself,
Hmm.
what's some advice that you'd give yourself?
I'd probably simplify this into five, but I would focus on number one. is to start. And I guess this is one place where people hold themselves back. Starting is where people die. The dream dies itself, and I do believe if they don't start, the dream is already dead, regardless of how ridiculous it is. Because as an entrepreneur, and I learned this from Shark Tank, there are a lot of people in and I look at entrepreneurship via Shark Tank and Dragon's Den, and I see how certain entrepreneurs really sell themselves well, and then the fact that they started and they have the opportunity to be, in front of sharks and dragons. I don't know why I said dragons, but yeah, I guess that's what they call them. So, uh, for them to have the ability to start and push the idea and push the purpose and push the passion forward, that itself should be a trigger point. If you are listening, this is the best place to start, is just to start. Even if your idea is an abstract idea that you put on canvas, just start and then figure it out. If you cannot, there are two ways that I learned. I was actually listening to a reel about Cody Sanchez asking someone, and in entrepreneurship, there are two ways you can go about entrepreneurship. Um, one is if you can create something new, you're a winner. That can help a market. Or if you look at something in the market that you can do better. So those are the two ways you can win. So I guess that's how you see an opportunity. You should see everything as an opportunity, which is number two. But first, let me finish number one, which is start. You gotta start, and you just gotta continue. So now let me go to number two, which is, look at everything as an opportunity. Even the tiniest problem that you're facing in life could possibly be a solution for someone else.
Mm-hmm.
It can be mundane. You don't need to be a Tony Stark. You don't need to be an Iron Man to figure it all out, like an engineer and all that stuff. Even the mundane problems, like folding your bed. Who knows? You'll probably, if you're an engineer, you can come up with a tool that can just press one button and your blanket is back to normal. You don't need to. So the mundane ideas, those are the things that you have to see an opportunity at. I probably gave this to someone, but if whoever comes up with that idea, please let's talk, because I really need to get my bed fixed. I keep forgetting to fix my bed, but yeah, we need to talk. If you're an engineer and you're listening to this podcast and you've reached this part of the podcast, I love you guys. So, so look at mundane things, look at opportunities from mundane life. Even traveling, there's a lot of stuff, there's a lot of opportunities. Now, you mentioned earlier on AI, so there are probably some problems there in AI that you can fix. If you're a data programmer or something, so look at it in a way that if it's a problem for you, it's a solution for your business. So that's how I see opportunity. So number two. And then number three is define your purpose. I guess I do not know how you go about the idea of purpose, or how you would probably look at purpose. But for me, I was chasing it, and for me, I chased it and I found it, and I guess it stuck with me now. But
Mm-hmm.
to some people, purpose comes, out of the blue. Even if they're in their think tank or they're in their toilet or with their girlfriend, suddenly, purpose comes in. So finding your purpose is either you chase it, or you find it or chase it, or it comes to you. But you have to be willing, and you have to be open to it. Because
Mm-hmm.
if you are, the opportunities that you get out of it is amazing. I swear it's just an amazing thing. Once you have a purpose, everything aligns. And even if you intend to do 4 or 5 businesses, if your purpose aligns to that sequence, it's one project leads to the other project, to the other project, in an alignment. Even though it sounds weird to someone else, and it's still it sounds more logical to you, that's how you can discover your purpose, and that's how you can leverage your purpose, and you'll never burn out, believe me. Well, ever since I started, I've never burnt out. For almost 2 months, I've never burnt out. Although I kind of cut back on my work because my health, I have to also, work on my health.
Mhm.
So yeah, so aligning your purpose to something, your vision and everything, and yeah, that's the best way to go. My thoughts on passion. Passion is, I do not know. You might agree or with me or not, but passion is like a temporary fire, and purpose is a never-ending fire. That's how I see both. Passion is only once you light it up. Once you light up the fire, it's there for temporary purpose until the rain or the wind blows it off. But if you're actually a purposeful human being, that fire never goes off, regardless whether you adjust your sleeping, you adjust your workouts, you adjust everything. That fire will still keep going because you
Mhm.
already know, you already know the journey before you even get there. So yeah, I also wanted to put purpose there, purpose, a passion there, my thoughts on passion. But yeah, and then what number am I don't even remember. I guess I'm a number five.
Oh, number five. Yes.
Five. So I forgot what my number five was, but I guess I'll just speak just speak what I remembered. Basically, start and then find opportunities, and then find your
Purpose.
purpose along with your opportunities,
Mm.
and keep going, keep
Mhm.
going. So that is number four. And then number five, I guess, is it goes. I'm actually thinking I should have prepared for this, but yeah,
No,
number five will get to me probably.
no,
Yeah,
you know what? I like having candid conversations because I feel like when you sit and you prepare, it's not as
yeah,
essentially authentic, right?
true, true,
So
true,
you're literally speaking from the heart, and that
true,
always
true.
makes for a better conversation, you know.
Yeah,
I love that. I love that. Again, I'm
yeah.
gonna jump in here and just, if they've made it to the end of the podcast, tell them what they can expect by jumping into your Podmenta space. I know you said they can reach you on every social media handle. What's the
Yes.
best one for them to really connect with you if they really want to get into it? Do they jump onto Reddit and just start messaging you like crazy?
Yeah, sure. Reddit. I mean, wherever you guys are comfortable, because I enjoy. But before I forget, the guy who I gave the idea on the bed thing, I'm looking for that guy. You know, you guys get that thing started because I really want I want my blanket fixed every time I wake up. I'm too lazy to do that stuff. But yeah, uh, coming back to saying to my podcast, you guys can reach out anywhere: Facebook, Instagram, Pinterest, Reddit, Twitter. I don't know if you can reach out to Twitter, but follow me, I'll follow you back. That's how I guess that's how we can build that up. And YouTube, comment on whichever resonates with you, because there's a lot of content that will be coming your way. There's more than 6 to 12 months, believe me. My If you actually look at my content bank and content matrix and all that stuff, I actually am good for 2 years. Because
Wow.
I keep updating a lot of content. I keep asking myself questions. I look at it as a marketing side, and I also look at it as a personal problem. So I mix a lot of this stuff, and I don't just stick to one content type. I stick to a lot of content type. But I'll actually get deep into that once I come up with that. I believe I will actually reveal my content strategy on November, if I could actually if I remember, because I do bi-weekly, and I finished my fourth episode. So the next month is going to be content creation and solo casting. So yeah, solo casting is the next episode, and then the content creation is probably November of the third week, Friday. So yeah, it's gonna be interesting, and I love it. So yeah,
I love
anywhere.
that you're loving it, and I love that you're doing all the things that you're doing, and I really appreciate the conversation and what you've shared today. Rajiv, thank you so much for jumping on today and being a part of our podcast. I hope to have you on again.
Oh
Um,
yes, oh yes.
I love the conversation. I think you bring a lot of energy and positivity.
Yeah, that in a world now where everything is going crazy, we need to have people who can just make people smile now, because if we make people smile, at least a smile can help solve their problem, can help reduce their stress and probably make them think and in a more calm way and look at life, because life is interesting. I mean, sorry if I got a lot of this the Rajiv show coming out of me, because I have three shows. Just so you know, I have three shows, and my first show is philosophy, motivation, and journaling, and I guess the motivation is coming out. So yeah, I guess life is an interesting thing, and you know, we take every opportunity that we are breathing. We should take this opportunity and look at it as an opportunity to do something. You know, of course it is going to be tough, struggling, and I guess that's a part of life, but we also have to consider another person's perspective. That's the reason why we're here. Entrepreneurs are here to help out, and that's the vision, I guess. That's the vision and the idea, you know. Even a simple entrepreneur like fixing my bed probably is you know, when an entrepreneur fixes my bed, at least you've added your value in my life, and that's what I'm grateful for, because I'm still waiting on that patent pending. But yeah, uh, even the simplest things that an entrepreneur can do for a small person is much more grateful, because at least the more you solve problems, the more you change the world. And you know, I want to sing heal the world, but we might get copyright strike. But yeah,
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 it's a it's an interesting way to just keep going. And entrepreneurs, every entrepreneur, I salute you. For me, I also wanted to add that I'm glad to be a part of this conversation. Although, from my perspective, I actually first want to earn the title of being an entrepreneur, and it's for me, that's a thing for me. I don't really deserve it, yes, but I'm in an entrepreneur podcast. I want to earn it. That's, I guess, one part of the hunger that I actually look forward to in life is just someone who knows me, an entrepreneur, a fellow entrepreneur who knows me, who say that, hey, you're part of us now. You know, you've earned your right, because I'm in the beginning stages. So definitely there's no bones. There's no bones. What I mean by bones, no body of work for me to show. I don't know why I said bones for some reason, but yeah. And I know I do not know if I actually told you this in the pre-interview. The reason why I like the word entrepreneur, it's a very interesting. It's a French. I don't know if it's a French word. I don't know the origins of it. But ever since I heard the word entrepreneur, I kind of find it interesting. So probably if I have a son or a daughter, I'll probably name them Entrepreneur Doraiswamy. It's going to be an interesting thing. It's just an interesting word, you know. It's just something. It's just something that it's something that blows my mind. It's just so yeah. That's my stuff. I've always wanted to say that stuff, but yeah.
Listen, everyone, please jump onto Rajiv's all his handles, follow him, listen to his podcast. Rajiv, again, I enjoyed having you on. Thanks again for being
Thank
our
you.
guest on
Thank you.
Entrepreneurial Truth. Thank you for tuning into today's episode of Entrepreneurial Truth. One tool that I can truly recommend on how you can organize and execute systems is Notion. Notion allows you to seamlessly get information out of your head and into a centralized, organized space. Whether it's documenting processes, managing projects, or brainstorming ideas, Notion can be your go-to platform. As a special offer to our listeners, you can get started with Notion using the link in the episode description. By using our affiliate link, you not only support our podcast, but also gain access to free templates designed to kickstart your journey with Notion. These templates are specifically crafted to help entrepreneurs streamline their workflows and boost productivity. To take advantage of this offer, simply visit the affiliate link below to sign up and explore the free templates available in the resource section. Whether you're a solopreneur, managing a team, Notion can be the game changer you've been looking for. Stay tuned for more episodes where we dive deep into strategies, tools that can empower you as an entrepreneur. And don't forget to subscribe to Entrepreneurial Truth so you never miss an episode filled with actionable advice and insights. Thank you once again for joining us today. Until next time, keep innovating and scaling your business with purpose. Thanks again.